Welcome to Lesson 4 of our virtual piano lesson series. I hope that you're starting to feel more comfortable at the keyboard, and today we'll go even further in our studies. During this lesson, we'll learn a new hand position and some new musical symbols. We'll also begin playing notes in both hands at the same time in order to expand our repertoire. Let's get started. Up until now, we've been playing mostly within the C position. But recall that during our last lesson, we played a version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that wasn't exactly in C position. Well, it turns out that most music is not written in C position. There are many more positions, and even then, most songs will require you to constantly move your hands throughout the piece. But for now, to continue learning the basics of piano, we will stick with the simple 5-finger positions, and today we will learn a new one, the G position. Just like with C position, the G position will start on a G in both hands. And remember, G is the highest note within the C position. So let's put our right hand first finger on G. And now we'll put our left hand fifth finger on G. Like with the C position, we put one finger on each consecutive white key from G up through D. Even though we've already learned most of the notes within the G position, let's go over them again now. So first we begin with G. Play G with both hands. Here's G on both clefs. To the right of G, we have A. Play A with both hands. And here is A on both the treble clef and the bass clef. Next up, we have B. Play B with both hands. And here is B on the clefs. Next, we have C. Play C with both hands. And here is C on the clefs. Finally, we have D. Play D with both hands. And here is D on the clefs. In this module's exercises, I will include fingerings above notes in the G position to get us more used to playing in this new hand position. However, make sure you are comfortable with reading these notes in both the treble and bass clef because you don't want to become too dependent on the finger numbers. Let's try playing an example in G position now. So you can see we start with a G in our first finger in the right hand. Then in measure 3, the left hand takes over with the first finger on a D. Take a look at these new fingerings and then we'll play it together. One, two, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Off. And one more time. 1, 2, ready, and. Now, one thing that we have not discussed yet is what we use these black keys for. The answer lies in the fact that we can play music in different keys. Playing in the C position or within the C scale is equivalent to playing in the key of C. Now that we're playing in G position, we're actually going to be playing in the key of G. There are many other keys that you can encounter in music, but we'll discuss those in a later module. To simplify things, each key uses a different amount of black keys as part of their scale. There is a reason behind this, but again, we'll talk about that in a different lesson. For now, know this. The key of C uses 0 black keys. However, the key of G uses 1 black key. It uses this one, the one between F and G. In the key of G, you played this note called F sharp instead of F. So I just used a new term, sharp. What does that mean? A sharp is a symbol that you place in front of a note to indicate that you should play the black key that is directly to the right of the original note. So for F sharp, we play the black key that is directly to the right of F. So here is the G scale written out. The G scale goes beyond the notes that we will be using in G position, but you can figure them out by going through the alphabetical pattern that we have already been using. So far, we learned G, A, B, C, and D, and to finish the scale, we just need an E, an F sharp, and a G. So for now, we're only going to use these upper notes to finish this scale, so don't feel too overwhelmed by the amount of new notes that we are introducing today. So if you were to play the G scale, it would go like this. You use the same fingerings that you use with a C scale, but you start on a G. And when you get to F, you play an F sharp instead of the F. I'll demonstrate. Pause the video now and try playing the G scale one hand at a time. Keep in mind that you can actually play scales anywhere on the keyboard as long as you start on a G in both hands. But F sharp isn't the only sharp we can have. Any note can have a sharp. This is G sharp, this is A sharp, this is C sharp, and this is D sharp. You'll notice that not every white key has a black key directly to the right of it, namely B and E. While B sharps and E sharps aren't something you'll run into until later in your piano studies, it's good to know how you would play them. Technically, a sharp means raising a note one half step on the piano. A half step is the interval between any two adjacent notes, including the black keys. For example, raising F a half step brings you to F sharp. Since E doesn't have a black key right next to it, raising it a half step actually just raises it to what we would normally call F. Alternatively, a whole step is the interval between a note and the note 2 half steps above it. For example, to figure out a whole step above F, we count 2 half steps above it, F sharp and G. So a whole step above F is G. We'll talk more about half and whole steps when we talk more about chords and scales in later modules. An important thing to note is that when you have a sharp in front of a note, that same note will continue to be played sharp for the rest of the measure, even if the sharp isn't physically written in. But when you get to a new measure, the note resets, and it won't be played sharp unless the sharp is rewritten in. Here's an example. In the first measure, the F sharp carries through to the F on the fourth beat, even though it is not written there. But in the second measure, the Fs are played normally again. The same thing happens in the third and fourth measures. I'll play it now and try to play it along with me. 1, 2, ready, and F sharp, F natural, F sharp, F natural. So let's play a few examples using sharps to get used to reading and playing sharps. Take a look at this one, and then we'll play it together twice. Notice that this exercise starts with your right hand first finger on C again, and we will be playing a D sharp and 2 F sharps. One, two, ready, play. D sharp, F sharp, F natural, D natural, F sharp, and one more time. 1, 2, ready, and. Here's one more example. This time, the left-hand fifth finger starts on G, and we'll be playing a few C sharps and an A sharp. One, two, ready, and. sharp, C natural, A sharp, C natural, A natural, C sharp, and one more time. 1, 2, ready, and. So I just introduced a lot of new vocabulary and theory concepts, so let's recap a few of them now. A sharp raises a note 1/2 step, which is the shortest distance between any two notes. Alternatively, a whole step is equivalent to 2 half steps. Finally, the G scale has 1 sharp, and F sharp. Sharps are very important in music, so it's good to make sure you have a solid understanding now. So to finish up, let's play a few more exercises within G position. Take a look at this first example. You can see that in some of the measures, we are holding a whole note in one hand, while the other hand also plays quarter notes at the same time. This is trickier than only playing one note at a time, so take a second to try this out on your own, and then we'll play it together. One, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time. 1, 2, ready, play. Here's one more example. This time we have our hands playing the same patterns of notes at the same time. Take a look at it and then we'll play it together. One, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time. 1, 2, ready, and. Our last exercise will be a simplified version of Handel's Hallelujah Chorus. We're in G position, and again, some of the measures have notes played in both hands at the same time. There are no sharps written in, so we don't need to worry about that. There are a lot of rests in between the half notes and quarter notes, so it will be important to count the rhythms. Feel free to pause and look it over before we play it. One, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time, a little bit faster. 1, 2, ready, play. I hope that you'll enjoy playing piano even more now that we can start to play more complex sounding music, as we continue to use both hands to play notes at the same time. As always, make sure you practice the post-video exercises, review sharps in the theory worksheet, and explore more about Handel in the history lesson. Check out the additional resources below if you need more guidance on any of the topics introduced today. See you next time!